Live from Studio 3, this is Packaging Today with Evelio Mattos, Adam Peak, and Cory Connors.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Monday. We made it. What's up, guys? What do we got? We got Cory Connors.
Say, Evelio.
Yeah.
Sorry, can't. What do we got here?
Synchro. So my daughter does synchronized swimming, and anytime somebody's like, "Hey, man, can you go out and do this?" I'd be like, "Sorry, can't." Synchro, because I'm going to practice or I'm going to a meet.
Do you want to hear a funny joke that you may never employ? But if you are ever at a wedding with two Christian humans and you have to do the best man speech, there's a verse, I believe it is in the book of Luke 14:20, and the verse says, "I'm sorry I can't come, I'm married," meaning I'm unable to attend your event due to my marital status now. So and then it gets a great laugh. It gets a really great laugh. Don't you dare play that cricket. Don't you dare play that cricket.
I bet.
We'll take your word for it.
It's the best. It kills at all of the Christian weddings.
Did you hear the crickets? I don't know if you heard it or not.
I did.
All right. I set up. Like I said, I pushed some buttons and I don't know what's going on.
It's like this is your first time hosting or being on the internet. You're like,
well,
I don't know how to turn on. Where do I click the link? Can you see my screen?
Am I on mute?
Is this thing on?
Am I on
Check.
mute? I'm not a cat, Your Honor. I'm ready to proceed.
Oh, those were the good old days of
How many of these have we done? Do you know?
At least five.
Oh, yeah. At least.
I don't know. Maybe a year.
Hey, man,
Has it been going on for a year?
Oh, at least, dude, 100% at least.
Okay.
We've done at least 70. Can I say at least one more time?
At least.
All right, what do we got? We got Cory Connors at Corrugated on the TikToks, host of Sustainable Packaging Podcast. And we got Adam Peak, host of People of Packaging Podcast, the OG. But you stick it right in his ear. And you're not on the TikToks anymore, but you can find him on the LinkedIn's.
All my podcast info goes right in here.
It's all LinkedIn's.
That's right. And then you got me, Evelio Mattos, host of Packaging Unboxd podcast. So yeah, good stuff, man. I got I actually just posted that I'm looking for a co-host, and I got some good feedback. Got some good DMs.
Okay.
So
what about us, Evelio?
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. What about us?
You guys, we're co-hosting this.
Oh, I see. Oh, not for this show.
No, not for this show.
Man, that's a tough way to find out the news.
Super rude.
Yeah, guys, I'm looking for some co-hosts to replace these guys.
If you can DM me, please, so we can.
Yeah,
but don't tell them.
That would be great.
Don't tell those guys.
That's right.
You were not on mute, Evelio. Just so you know. You were live on the internet.
Yes.
Hey, before we get started, though, I am wearing my shirt. My voice is gone, but the Judge Memorial Catholic School boys basketball team won the state championship on Saturday night.
Congratulations!
2.5 hours away. So that was it was a pretty big
deal. How many goals
did
they score?
I know how much you love sports, Evelio, but I'm not here for any of your sports jokes. You did have to stick out you can have one because you had my bad Christian pastor church joke. But here was
I would have gone to that game, dude, but I can't because I'm married.
Yeah.
See? Yeah. And you had
such a good joke.
It's a great one. Because Luke 14:20, I'm living by the Bible. But it was crazy because his team was they were not at five, they were a below 500 team. So they were at one point they had won 5 games and lost 12 games during the season. They had a great run. They were the number 10 seed in the tournament. and they beat the number 7 seed, the number 2 seed, the number 3 seed, and then they beat the number 1 seed in the championship game. So it was
Amazing.
It was really awesome to see the team kind of come together. It was incredible. So it was a great run. We got home super late Sunday. Didn't sleep that much. My voice is still barely recovering, but it was awesome. It was a great.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I didn't play. I was not in the game.
187 events, and
there are
coached
some,
him. And, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's for sure. There are definitely some parents though who are like, I'm playing the game, and it's like, no, just cheer for your kid, please. That would be awesome. You don't.
Yeah.
Coaching.
No, but it was great though. It was awesome.
Coaching's easy, right?
It's
No.
super easy.
Yeah, you don't get parents bothering you. Like, put my kid in more. My kid doesn't get enough playtime.
My kid doesn't get enough time in the water. Is it the same thing with synchronized swimming? Do
A
parents?
million percent. A million percent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd try to be the parent that doesn't, because it's not fair, right? Coaches are,
They're
doing the best for the team. So
yeah. I had to tell a parent this is not. I go down a whole rabbit hole here.
We'll get to packaging.
But one point in a game, I was coaching. This was like 6th grade basketball, and at halftime, I had to go over to the parents and I had to tell them, "Hey, I'm trying to coach the team. Can you please stop telling them what plays you think they should run?" And one of the dads said to me, "Well, at least somebody's coaching them." And I took the clipboard. I was like, "I'm a volunteer.
Mhm.
You can also go volunteer." But I'm at every practice. I'm not perfect. I'm a volunteer 6th grade basketball coach with a bunch of imperfect 6th grade kids.
Yeah.
You can go coach them if you'd like to. And he's like, "Okay." I'm like, "Stop coaching. Just cheer for your kids. I'm doing my best here, but it's only confusing these poor little children." Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just saw a clip this weekend of because my other daughter plays softball, and I just saw a clip of a dad up in the stands at a college softball game yelling at the ump, and the ump turned around, and the dad stands up to walk down the stands to get confront the ump, and his ACLs go out like and his knees just pulled forward and just tumbled all the way to the bottom.
Oh my gosh.
But that's man. All right, enough. Yeah. I'm sure we're the only ones with kids in sports. Nobody else gets this.
Nobody else understands what we're talking about.
That's right.
we got some good friends in the audience already commenting. Thank you all.
We do, man. What do we got? We got Fred. Yeah, good stuff.
Pretty rich.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff coming up.
Exciting.
Yeah. Hugh. That's right. Pink slips are in the mails, boys. Sorry.
You know who'd be a good co-host? Hugh Curtis. I volunteer as tribute, so I'm out. It's been a good ride.
I'll volunteer Ryan Fox. All right. See you guys. Peace out.
The real corrugated Ryan Fox.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. And that's Andrew can help find replacements through.
Right. He probably has a list.
That's right. Oh, we got Chris Olson. How you doing, Chris?
Oh, Chris.
No, it's the champion. We have the champion judge Bulldogs and the champion Denver.
Oh, is that is that a Tetris championship hat? It's pretty good.
I hate you.
If I could remember what that Russian
you
song
can't fire me
is,
because I quit.
I would hum it for you. All right, so let's. We're 10 minutes in. We got zero packaging conversation happening.
Boxes. Cory.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, I want to ask you guys a question.
Yes.
What are the states that have EPR bills right now? Do you know?
Washington.
Yep.
Oregon's working on it. Colorado.
California.
Maine, California. That's it for now. That's
Vermont.
my knowledge. Yeah. Vermont, maybe. I know there's 11 others in the works, and I don't know that list. But I could definitely see 50 before we know it.
What's up, Stacy?
Hey, Stacy.
Ex-soccer coach here. So he's off my list. I was a soccer ref, actually.
Oh yeah,
that's what I did in high school.
Cool.
When he was growing up in the Bahamas, he refereed in every weekend.
When I was in Maui. Actually, you know what, dude? I spent some time in St. Lucia.
I knew it.
I did. I went surfing through
You were the world's most interesting man.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny to me. Maybe it's not funny, but it's just interesting to me that there are more states with legalized weed than there are EPR laws. Is that a weird
Yeah.
thing or no? Not really.
I think weed came first. I think they that movement started
Movement
earlier.
started. We've had packaging waste for a while.
A couple of years, yeah, but no, this is a new thing, and just the bottle deposit programs, just those, more than double recycling rates in those
Mhm.
states that have them. So to me, it's something that we should do nationally. I think as soon as
And they make
possible.
for great Seinfeld episodes also.
Yes, very true.
Double
As
win.
a matter of fact, like here in Arizona, there was a family that got arrested for taking a semi truck worth of plastics, driving it across the border to California to go recycle it there because they pay more, and that's illegal. Like who?
Do we know
Crazy.
why that's illegal? I'm sure there's some. Is it like, to me that seems counterproductive, but I'm sure there's some like law enforcement person who could say the reason
Finance.
is
Well, because the money for the bottles in California come from California, so
Right. You're taking
there's
it,
no
you're
there's
stealing
no money
Yeah.
for that program in Arizona. So you're taking a product from here and you're selling it there, which isn't really helping them in California boost their recycling rates. It's just taking money from a program.
way to be selfish, California.
Yeah,
Bastard.
geez, California.
Yeah, there's so much like interstate commerce laws that I don't know about. I mean, like this is crazy. I had no idea that if you are in, if you're in Arizona or if you're in Utah, and if you're going to be going to an event in Vegas and you want to bring a bottle of wine and you drive it across state line, that's illegal. You're
That's
not
crazy.
allowed to transport. I mean, like to me, like buying it in Utah and consuming it in Nevada should not be illegal. But
Right.
apparently these things are. I don't know. I don't know much about this stuff. I barely know anything about packaging, so we should probably stick to this stuff that we can at least talk moderately competently.
All right, two things here. One, Matt, who's a soccer ref. When I was in high school, being a ref, playing, ref in soccer
in Japan,
we had shorts that were like this big. And that was like the worst part of being a ref is like, your friends from school would see you and your shorts were like this. Like there would be like white skin just poking out that had never seen the sun before.
Yeah.
That's fashionable though now. That's bad.
Now it's cool. Yeah, now it's cool. But back then, no, those were like the old Bermuda shorts days where the longer the
now
better.
They make soccer refs wear the long Michigan Fab 5 shorts down, below their knees.
Oh,
totally.
Because soccer refs all have to be unfashionable.
Totally. But Stacey's saying compostable is the future. I don't agree with that one. What say you, Adam Peak?
That would have to exist in a world in which is a bit more utopian than I think is realistic. I saw this great it was a Twitter thread, but it may as well have been an article about how advancements in sustainable type things actually lead to greater consumption in those areas. And so it's not always the win that we think it is. So the article is highlighting LED lighting and how it's LED lighting is so much more efficient than incandescent lighting, as an example. And it's true that LED lighting has allowed for people to use it more, but like the sphere in Vegas, which we talked about last week, would not exist without LED lighting, but it also wouldn't exist, and there would be no energy being consumed by it because the technology wasn't there. So our energy use has actually stayed flat. It hasn't decreased. So anytime there are advancements in things like in sustainability, for example, with something like compostable packaging, you have to ask like, well, what would that potentially do to either costs or consumption? And is that a net good or bad thing, or is it just net neutral, right? I think compostable packaging has a long way to go if it's ever going to get to where a lot of people think it's going to get to because of the properties inherent in compostable packaging. It's meant to compost, and most packaging is meant to sustain. And so there's a problem there. Like, if your job is to protect and sustain, and then there is an unknown future in which you are meant to break down and not protect and become something different, that's going to cause just some chemical problems. So what say you, Cory Connors, host of the Compostable Packaging Podcast?
Agree. Great points. I think it's a part of the future. And I think this is, I don't like the attitude that one thing is going to take over everything. I see it as a pie. These wedges are going to change over the next 100 years. This is packaging from a company called SmartSolve that we work with. And this is flushable, totally dissolvable in water. I just did a TikTok video. This material is for a tampon. This will flush along with the tampon even more efficiently than toilet paper. Now, this is I
don't think you're supposed to flush those.
Yeah. Oh, well, the tampon you can, not the applicator, but the packaging for the tampon.
The flexible packaging is flushable and is safe in sewers and safe for marine life. It's been tested.
And I just did a TikTok about it. I haven't posted it yet, but it dissolved so fast. It was incredible. So for this kind of a purpose, this makes awesome sense. It's the first of its kind that I know of. This company has taken off like crazy. Daye, DAYE is the manufacturer of these. SmartSolve is the packaging, and it's really cool to see. But there's a lot of problems with compostable packaging. A lot of the composting facilities, the industrial composting facilities, don't want packaging because of all the contaminants. A lot of people will put their white spoon in there. They think it's compostable. It's not. And so until we have that dialed in and really perfect, it's going to be a challenge for these companies that are composting industrially.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the. I don't know if you guys have seen that video of the food in the plastic bags and boxes that are being like ground down to make food for the pigs.
Oh,
you guys have seen that video that went viral for a little while there. It's kind of the same thing. If we're composting plastics and products that aren't like these like the white spoons or anything else that people get confused and just put in there, essentially that's going out to farmers as organic material that has then plastics in it that we're then putting it back into the soil, and it kind of defeats the whole purpose. I know, talking to Ian Montgomery over at Guacamole Airplane, he was explaining how in Napa, and I've got to research this a little bit deeper, but just from the conversation was like Napa is reducing their composters' time. They're going from 90 days to 60 days because that's really what it takes for most organic matter to break down. But plastics are what push it to the 90 days. So all of a sudden it's now a material that can't be accepted, even if it's compostable, because the process isn't there to process it. And the reason is because all that organic material stays in that region, and the wine growers don't want plastics. They don't want, all these excess material going back into the land that's then essentially developing their product.
I really like Eva's point. Sorry, Adam. I really like Eva's point there. This is an education issue. So when they get used to it, are they going to continue to do this with all tampon wrappers, or with all compostable, items? It's a problem that we have to educate in a major way the audience that's going to use these things like NotPla, those to-go containers. Those are perfect for compost, or even because they're soiled with food waste. Generally, I could see ketchup and cheese and all kinds of food waste. That's perfect for the compost bin, and we'll see what happens.
I think for me the problem, I'll keep this really short, is the same problems that existed with recycling, material collection, sorting, and whatnot. The same problems are going to exist with composting, because the consumer is number one, consuming, and number two is not educated barely on recycling, right? Like this has been around for decades, and now we think like they're going to be perfect with composting. It's just not going to happen. But the consequences of composting are soil degradation, is there food, food contamination. There's real consequences to bad sorting for composting, whereas recycling, we've kind of gotten to a point where it's like, this is annoying, but we can get it out. And it does go to the landfill, and that sucks, but it's just different. So I don't know. I agree with Cory on it's a part of the pie. We should obviously consider it, but I don't think everything is going to be in compostable packaging in any near future when we're alive.
Yeah. No. I agree with Ava. It happens, right? It's the same challenge we're gonna have it across a lot of industries.
Yeah. And thank you, Stacey, for bringing it up. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, in Arizona, we don't have composting, so all that stuff just goes to landfill because.
Yeah, we don't have it here in Utah.
Yeah, and that's the challenge.
We don't have it where I live, but 10 minutes away in downtown Portland, they do, and they've already said no packaging. You can't include packaging in that stream. Like, well, what are we doing?
Yeah. So I'd say if you're a brand or you're an agency working with a brand, if you're a manufacturer, then I think the big challenge is when you're talking to your client is like, where does your product sell? Right. If you're just a local product and you're selling in Arizona or Utah or, in Cory's town or I guess Oregon, don't, compostable doesn't make sense because there's no collection for it. So it has a great story, but if it can't be sorted and collected and composted, then you're wasting your money. Make something that's recyclable because that's accepted. At least there's some kind of infrastructure in place across the U.S. and same thing across different countries.
And it'd be interesting too. Sorry for those companies to look at like what Mikey and his team are building with scrap to be able to know, okay, in this area we're heavily concentrated in sales in this area. Now we can have data to show what is readily recyclable, and we can build a packaging. This data is now coming and it's here, and we can know it. And so knowing what that data is, knowing what your packaging is, and knowing what the end of life is going to help out a lot.
Yeah. And Seth is asking, is compostable more expensive? I would say no. A material that's compostable isn't necessarily more expensive, but if it's certified, branded, I think that's where you start getting into some different costs.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cory?
The quotes I've done have been a dramatic cost delta, much more expensive.
But you're talking about something that's like certified compostable.
Yeah.
Right.
Home compostable is what I think is really what we're focusing on, because industrially compostable is, like you said, just doesn't make sense yet. Yeah. It will someday, I hope.
The corrugated is compostable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It doesn't. It's not.
I don't think there's a certification, by the way, for home compostable yet. That there's too many variables for what home composting is. I think it's all over the map. I don't know if there's, what is it, ASTM D6400, I think, is the one in the US for commercial compostability. I don't know that they have. I know they were working on trying to come up with something, but
there is one for home. I don't know the numbers or letters.
They've come out with it recently.
It's recent. Yeah, it's very new. It's exciting possibilities. A lot of these new films, with things like NOPLA and Sway, there's a lot here that's coming quickly, and so I think we'll see over the next 6 months some dramatic changes. I hope.
Yeah.
To answer this question from Stacy, by the way, will it break down in landfills to help out?
No.
Not necessarily. If the landfill is
not at all.
Well, it could, but it's actually problematic, because if it is breaking down, then it's breaking down and and the methane isn't captured. That's worse for the environment than if it just stays buried in a landfill. And most, even like, you can go drill down in some landfills and find newspapers that look pristine and brand new from like the 1940s.
Yeah, I mean, you'll still find you'll still find grass clippings and leaves.
Yep.
In landfill, and that, you can't get any more compostable than that. There's just no oxygen, and it's just not the right environment to break any material down. So
it's not getting turned over, right?
No, yeah. So as a brand or an agency, and you're like, we're moving to compostables because even if it gets to landfill, it'll break down. That's not necessarily the case.
Correct.
And that's the challenge.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I've got a hard stop here at 9, but I just wanted to touch on this article. I caught it on Industry Intelligence. It is going back to EPR, right? So it says 40,000 companies, 40,000 Danish companies are going to be subject to EPR for packaging in 2025.
Wow.
Which they're expecting it to lead to higher production costs, which means that it's going to increase about 2% the cost of the product in retail sales. So, here in the US, I'm starting to get clients that are like, hey, I'm starting to pay EPR bills on these products. And it's not a huge number because it's only just a couple of states. But if this thing continues to grow, it's a cost that's going to get passed on to clients.
I heard Darla Arian speak, and she's writing the EPR legislation for Colorado. And when she was speaking, it was at a TLMI event. She said that part of their bill is that companies cannot pass on the cost of EPR to consumers, and they had a mechanism with which to capture that they have to truly be responsible. Because you're right, it's just like a tariff or just like anything else, where if you put it on a company in a free market like we have in the US, the company is likely to say like, okay, well, now it's the extended producer responsibility is now no longer there. It's just it's extended consumer responsibility, ECR. I just thought of that right now in my head.
Trademark.
That's what it becomes, right? It just becomes another tax that gets passed on to a consumer, and especially for things like food and beverages and staples, it ends up being a tax on. Typically, this is the argument against EPR, right? It's a tax on lower and middle class people, right, that they have to bear now because they're not the ones buying the more expensive items where maybe they could absorb that cost or they could pay a little bit more for the better packaging. It's going to be companies like like Tyson Foods and Kraft and Hormel and General Mills that get hit with it. And what's to stop them from passing it on to the consumer and just going on with what it does? It doesn't change anything for them. The problem. So
you'll just see smaller formats, shrinkflation. It's all. I mean, it's obvious what's going to happen. I agree.
Yeah, unless there's a way to capture it, and I don't really know how you can capture. I don't know how to do that nationwide. Maybe by state, but
even then, it's a challenge, guys. Hey, we got to wrap up. Thanks so much for catching us this week. Check us out. Check out Sustainable Packaging Podcast, People of Packaging Podcast. We've got some new guests hopping on. Packaging Unboxd. Check it out.
I got to tell you, Bulldogs. Congrats. Way to go.
Yeah, all kinds of dogs. All right. Hey, I did have Matt Haynes from the Design Conference on my last episode. This close to getting him to cry. It was awesome. It was. Wow. I love the guy. It was probably my most emotional episode yet, so definitely check it out.
Because you grew up with him, right? In
Australia.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
New Zealand.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll see you guys.